Have you ever caught yourself in a lie? Not just any lie, but a lie you told to yourself? This is where we begin to unravel the intriguing puzzle of self-deception, a phenomenon as common as it is complex. In the grand theater of life, we often find ourselves playing different roles. Sometimes we play the optimist, convincing ourselves that everything will work out fine, even when the world around us is screaming the contrary. Other times we play the stoic, pretending that we're not hurt when in reality, we're nursing a deep wound. This is self-deception at work, a subtle art of lying to oneself. You see, our minds are masters of illusion, spinning narratives that comfort us, shield us from harsh realities, and help us navigate the choppy waters of life. It's like a magic trick that we perform on ourselves, a sleight of hand that makes the bitter pill of reality a tad easier to swallow. We convince ourselves that everything is okay even when it's not. But why do we do this? Well, self-deception can be a coping mechanism, a kind of psychological armor that protects us from stress, anxiety, or the gnawing discomfort of an inconvenient truth. It's our mind's way of saying, hey, let's take a break from reality, shall we? Yet, while this might provide temporary relief, it can also be a double-edged sword. When we get too comfortable in our illusions, we risk losing touch with reality. We start ignoring the warning signs, brushing off the red flags, and bypassing opportunities for growth. But here's the thing. Self-deception doesn't mean we're living a lie. It's not a permanent state, but rather a temporary respite. It's more like a painkiller, numbing the pain for a while, giving us the strength to carry on. Believing in a lie doesn't mean you have to live in a lie. It's more like a momentary painkiller. So, as we delve deeper into this topic, let's remember that the aim is not to demonize self-deception, but to understand it, to recognize it, and ultimately, to use this knowledge to navigate our way towards a more authentic, self-aware life. Let's delve deeper into how this self-deception works in real life. It's like a chameleon, blending into our thoughts and feelings so adeptly that we often don't recognize its presence. Think of it as a silent narrator, subtly altering the story we tell ourselves about our lives. Consider this. A man, let's call him John, has been working in a job he dislikes for years. He convinces himself that he's happy, that he enjoys the routine, the predictability. He tells himself that it's okay to feel bored sometimes, that it's part of adulting, but deep down, he yearns for something more fulfilling, something that sparks passion within him. Yet, he continues to cling on to this self-deception, using it as a shield against the fear of change, the risk of failure. Now, let's look at another example. A woman, let's name her Emma, is in a relationship where she's constantly belittled and disrespected. Despite the clear signs of toxicity, she convinces herself that this is what love looks like, that her partner's behavior is just a result of stress or bad days. She believes that she's in a healthy relationship, when in reality, she's in a cycle of emotional abuse. Emma's self-deception acts as a protective wall, safeguarding her from the painful truth. These scenarios might seem extreme, but they are more commonplace than we'd like to admit. Self-deception is complex. It's not just about lying to ourselves, it's about convincing ourselves to believe the lie. It's a survival instinct, a defense mechanism against the hard truths we're not ready to face. But remember, lying to yourself can be like taking a painkiller. It soothes the discomfort, masks the pain, and gives you a momentary sense of relief. In those tough times when life feels overwhelming, a little self-deception can help you get through the day. It's a way to shield yourself from the harshness of reality, just long enough to catch your breath. But just like a painkiller, that comfort is temporary. The relief you feel doesn't solve the underlying issue. It only postpones the inevitable. The more you rely on these little lies, the more disconnected you become from your true feelings, your true self. And that's where things can start to unravel. These examples reveal the intricate dance between reality and our perception of it. It's a dance that's as fascinating as it is misleading, leading us down paths we never intended to traverse. The question then arises, what impact does this self-deception have on our lives? It's a double-edged sword, really. On the one hand, it can be a temporary balm, a salve that helps us navigate through life's choppy waters. In the face of adversity, we sometimes need to tell ourselves that everything will be all right, even when circumstances suggest otherwise. This form of self-deception can act as a buffer, shielding us from immediate stress or anxiety. It's like a mental painkiller, numbing the discomfort for a while. But let's delve deeper. Imagine you have a toothache, and you take a painkiller to ease the pain. The relief is temporary, and the underlying issue remains. The pain will return, perhaps even more severe, until you address the root cause. Similarly, self-deception can mask the symptoms but doesn't cure the ailment. Consider this. Let's talk about a financial example. Imagine you're struggling with debt, and every time you check your bank account, it's a little bit more painful. So instead of facing the issue, you tell yourself, "It's okay, I'll deal with it next month." Or, "I deserve to treat myself today. I'll worry about the bills later." For a moment, that lie makes you feel better. It allows you to avoid the anxiety of your financial situation. But just like a painkiller, that comfort is temporary. The relief you feel doesn't solve the underlying problem, it only postpones it. The more you rely on these little lies, the more disconnected you become from your true financial reality. And that's where things can start to unravel. You're stuck in a loop, perpetuating unhealthy patterns because you're unable to face the reality that you're unhappy and need maybe a better job. So while self-deception might seem like a short-term solution, it often leads to long-term issues if not addressed. It's like building a house on a shaky foundation. It might stand for a while, but eventually, the cracks will begin to show. And when they do, the house might crumble, leaving you amidst the rubble, wondering where it all went wrong. The key to preventing this domino effect is self-awareness. But that's a topic for our next scene. For now, remember this. So while self-deception might seem like a short-term solution, it often leads to long-term issues if not addressed. Once we've recognized our self-deception, how do we overcome it? This is a question that many of us grapple with, and today, we're going to delve into some strategies that can help navigate this tricky terrain. So now that we've gotten comfortable with this idea, let's talk about the antidote to self-deception, self-awareness. But the first step towards overcoming self-deception is fostering self-compassion. We often deceive ourselves because facing the truth feels too painful or uncomfortable. However, it's crucial to remember that it's okay to make mistakes, to fail, to not be perfect. Instead of harsh self-criticism, try to approach your flaws and shortcomings with the same kindness and understanding you would extend to a friend. This shift in mindset can make the truth easier to accept. Self-awareness is your superpower. It's the ability to recognize when you're lying to yourself, to see the truth behind the facade. It's about understanding your thoughts, emotions, and behaviors, and how they all connect. With self-awareness, you can start to uncover those hidden truths and face them head-on rather than masking them with comforting lies. So, you need to embrace discomfort. The truth can be uncomfortable, but it's often through discomfort that we grow and evolve. So instead of avoiding discomfort, you need to learn to sit with it, to understand it, and ultimately, to learn from it. This might involve challenging your beliefs, stepping outside of your comfort zone, or confronting fears. It might not be easy, but it's a necessary part of the journey towards overcoming self-deception. Imagine it like this. Self-deception is the darkness, and self-awareness is the light. The more aware you become, the more you illuminate those dark corners of your mind where self-deception likes to hide. And in that light, you find clarity, growth, and the strength to make real, lasting changes. Sometimes the journey can feel too daunting to undertake alone. In such cases, seeking professional help can be an invaluable step. Therapists and counselors are trained to help you navigate these complex emotions and can provide the tools and strategies needed to overcome self-deception. Don't be afraid to reach out for help if you need it. Lastly, it's essential to stress the importance of addressing underlying issues rather than avoiding them. While self-deception can provide temporary relief, it's often at the expense of long-term well-being. By facing our issues head-on, we can start to heal and move towards a more authentic and fulfilling life. So yes, it's okay to lie to yourself every now and then. We all need that little bit of comfort sometimes. But remember, the goal isn't to live in that lie forever. Use it as a temporary shield, but then take the time to turn on the light of self-awareness. Confront the truth, no matter how uncomfortable it might be, and you'll find that you're stronger and more resilient than you ever imagined.